Welcome back, everyone, to the Latino Book and Family Festival sessions. Today, we have an award-winning author joining us. His name is Philip Rivera. He will be speaking with us today about his story as an author. So welcome, and I want to say that thank you to the support of our partners. That's how we are able to bring this festival live. All right, there you go. And actually, sorry, that was the first session. Welcome, Philip, to this Latino Book and Family Festival.
Thank you, Anna. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. So the way we're going to do this is I'm going to go ahead and introduce Philip. Then he's going to tell us a little bit about his story and more about his book and his journey. Let me go ahead and introduce our guest for today. And Edward here is also going to be helping moderating this session. Thanks, Edward, for being here as well.
Sure.
Okay, so Philippe Rivera, he's the writer of Suburban, Luchador, the Cul-de-Sac Chronicles. So he's an award-winning author, and he finds writing inspiration from epic tasks such as lawn mowing, driving his way cool minivan, and co-parenting his 4 children. His book, Suburban Luchador, takes everyday, average scenarios and transforms them into whimsical stories about an underdog struggle against life's mundane challenges. When he's not writing, you can find him living the suburban dream in Florida, where he teaches high school and strives to make the perfect meatloaf. Welcome, Philip. Now I'm gonna hand over the control. And you tell us a little bit about your story, your journey, and your life.
Well, thank you, Anna, and thank you, Latino Book Family Festival for having me. It's an honor to be here as another author. I am married, been married for about 11 years, and I have 4 beautiful children. In fact, if there's any interruptions during this interview, it's because that's just life. And I have a 1-year-old behind me. You can't see her, but I can hear her pressing her face against the door. She's probably in only a diaper. I have a 4-year-old, I have a 6-year-old, and I have a 9-year-old boy. And my life as an author is kind of the overflow of my life as a dad. I find inspiration in everyday life as a dad, as a teacher, as a husband, as a family man, as just living in suburbia. And I strive to take the everyday mundane moments of life, like mowing the lawn or taking out the garbage or driving the kids in the minivan, and try to turn them into adventures that any person can relate to. If you're familiar with Calvin and Hobbes comic strip, where a little boy and his stuffed tiger go on these fantastic journeys, but really they're only in the backyard in a wheelbarrow. Or the author James Thurber wrote about Walter Mitty, about an everyday man who takes these fantastical journeys in his mind to escape the everyday humdrum. That's kind of what my book is all about, Suburban Luchador. And the title, Suburban Luchador, as I was sharing with Anna, is all about how each of us are luchadores in one way or another. I have to explain to a lot of my non-Hispanic audience what a luchador is. So for those that don't know, a luchador is a wrestler started in Mexico, I think in the early 1900s, that would have these masks and these fantastic costumes. And they would take on these characters that were bigger than life. and they were good luchadores, and then there were bad luchadores. And the good luchadores would fight with honor and with integrity, and then the bad luchadores would cheat. And really, it was not about wrestling, but more about the story and about how these characters were bigger than life. And so in Suburban Luchador, I take an average dad with a minivan and 4 kids and a wife, and he becomes a luchador in his imagination. For example, one story, I am bathing my 2 kids. One was, I think, 3, the other one was 1. The 1-year-old was not quite potty trained, so you can imagine how that goes during bath time. And the 3-year-old decided that he wanted to be on alert in case the 1-year-old made additional deposits in the bathtub. So the 3-year-old gets one of his action figures called Rhino Man, and he says to me, "Papi, Rhino va a pelear contra la caca." Sorry, that's the words that he used. So he was on caca alert, and I'm gonna let you read the story because what followed was a whole naval battle of Rhino Man versus La Caca in a bathtub. Now, in reality, it was just me and my 2 kids in our little bathroom trying to take a bath. But in my mind and the way I wrote the story, it was a naval battle of epic and gross proportions. And so that's kind of what the book is all about. It's taking those everyday scenarios like bathing kids, like going to work, and finding the magic in everyday humdrum life.
Wow, that was, I was talking to Philip before this presentation, and I was mentioning that as I was reading his book, I was so, I don't know, so amazed of how much humor he included in his book. It was these daily life stories that he's sharing and making them into this whole kind of like fiction story right there in the same story. I was fascinated on the way that you incorporated all these scenarios and adventures with your family into and put them into a book. How was that? How was the transition on the mentality for doing that? How did you initially thought, oh, I should write these stories? Or because at the beginning, I guess you were not thinking on writing them and publishing a book with them. Or was that the case?
Right. So it started as I would just write short posts on Facebook about funny things that my kids did. It started probably about 8 years ago when I had my first child. And, life changes once you have a child. When it's just you and your spouse, you can go out when you want, you can go to sleep when you want, everything's clean and there's a lot of money. And then the first child comes and sleep and money and cleanliness, it goes out the window. So I started writing these different stories, humorous little stories on Facebook about things that would happen, about how, he didn't want to go to sleep at night and how he would sing songs at 3 a.m. that he loved, but nobody else did. And the stories got a little longer. And so I created a post or a blog called Suburban Luchador. And I wrote longer stories there. And then my sister gave me the idea of putting it into story format. And so I did the research and I went through the whole process of writing the stories out and finding an editor and publishing it. And so what started out as small little vignettes of daily life as a parent and the struggle of parenting became a book that has now been published, and I'm very grateful and humbled that it's actually won an award through the International Latino Book Award contest.
All right. So I'm glad that your book was recognized. And I want to say to the everyone who's watching live, if you're on Zoom, I'm gonna go ahead and invite you to join the session. You don't have to be on video or anything, but just if you want to, but I'm allowing you to speak if you have questions for the author here present. And on Facebook, you can ask your questions in the chat. And also tell us where you're currently seeing this presentation from. Well, actually, Philip, where are you right now?
So I'm in my porch, facing my backyard, and I'm gonna let you see my little 1-year-old swinging peacefully. I don't know if you can see her there. Swinging
There
in
you
the
go.
backyard. There, she waved. I don't know if you saw that, but
Yes. And so what state is that? We're here right now in the north of San Diego. So Edward, also if you have questions, you can join in. Where are you here also in California or a different state?
I live in Florida.
Florida, okay.
Yes.
All right, so he's joining us from Florida. And I know that you have some attendees here. If you have any questions, just let us know. I wanna, cover the information of how was the process for you when, in terms of getting the book published? Because one thing is writing it and preparing it and then coming with a cover, because that's also another thing right there. How do you come up with the right cover? Who do you tell to do your cover, or did you did your own cover?
So I did it through self-publishing, which I know several years ago, that was kind of like seen as a second class of publishing a book. From what I've heard, it's a lot more people are doing it now. I tried to educate myself as much as possible. There's several podcasts I listened to about self-publishing because I wanted to do it with excellence, because I figured if I'm going to put the time and I'm going to put my story out there, I want it to be represented well. So first thing was educating myself on the self-publishing process. I guess I went the self-publishing route because I thought, who's going to want to pick up my story as a publisher. So that was the first thing, just a lot of self-education, which is good whether you want to be self-published or traditional, because there's things that you need to know as an author that go into the publishing process, and how to advocate for yourself and how to make sure that your book is being put in as many platforms as possible. So the self-publishing was one aspect, and the cover, I also looked through, there's a webpage called fiverr.com, which has several different, what's the term? It's like people that put their services out there, whether it's cover design, editing, copywriting, and I just pitched what I was looking for to several different people, and then they gave me some sample ideas based on the content of the book, and I selected one of the artists, and through a process of communication and back and forth dialogue about what the heart of the book is and what I was trying to communicate, we came up with this cover, which I'm pretty proud of. This is actually me on the cover. I'm not a real life luchador, but I play one in the book. And then in the back, it's the whole summary of the book, along with a man on his lawnmower chariot.
All right. Heather, do you have any?
Yeah, so you said you're a high school teacher in Florida. What
Yes.
grade level and what subject do you teach?
So I work with both all 9th through 12th grade, and my position, it's a non-traditional teacher position. I'm a certified teacher, but my title is migrant advocate. So I work with migrant students. These are the kids of farm workers who travel from Florida to North Carolina and Michigan and back. And a lot of times when they arrive back in Florida when the crops up in Michigan and North Carolina end. A lot of them are behind. So I help them enroll in school, stay in school, pass their classes. I work with the parents as well. So it's an all-encompassing position for migrant students, like a classroom teacher and guidance counselor combined in one position. And I love it because these are some of the hardest working parents and students that I have met. And they also give some really good inspiration for stories, because I'm far removed from pop culture as a teenager. So just hearing them, and then they're very graceful in explaining what certain things mean, which usually results in some humorous dialogue.
You know, that kind of reminds me of the movie McFarland, where Kevin Costner is the teacher, and he
Yes.
tells his runners, you guys get up at 4 a.m, you go to work for 2 hours, and then you go to school and you try to learn. And then sometimes you come back to the field and you work more until the sun goes down to help your parents. So, I mean, that's very inspirational. So that's awesome of you to be in that role. One other comment in regards to your book, you said your sister encouraged you to write. Is she a teacher?
She lives in New York City, and she's a very socially minded person. So she taught a little in high school, then she worked for a nonprofit, and then she worked for Head Start, and now she has the higher calling of a stay-at-home mom with her first baby. So she's kind of done it all.
Okay, all right. So I love the theme of your book. You said, you've incorporated some humor into it, and then you made a reference to song. I always follow the an old adage that says, without humor and song, there is nothing. So I love that about what you talked about your book, having humor in it, bringing your children's story into this book is what a novel concept. We've been talking to numerous authors over the last few weeks, and every author has a great idea of what to write about. And that's the beauty of writing, that you can think of something that is unique to you or to your family or to your school or your area, and put it into a book. So that's fantastic, a great way to put together an award-winning book.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, a lot of work, but a lot of fun to do.
And so are you now thinking on doing a sequel, the next one?
Yes, I actually have part 2 about 3/4 of the way written. When I wrote this book, I only had 2 children, and I thought, all right, I'm done, no more kids. And then surprise, I don't know how it happens, 2 more, just the stork just dropped off 2 more. And so I have a lot more writing material. So this, I guess, would be child 1 and 2, and then the one that is in the process is with child 3 and 4.
So is it kind of following the same theme, except that new stories with child 3 and 4, or is it taking a little bit different direction?
It's taking the same theme. I've learned a lot from self-publishing this first one. Even talking with some potential publishers on what the market looks for. So I hope it's a little more polished. I believe this one is good. This first book is good, but the second one, I think it's a little more uniform. This one, I have stories from my school life, my stories from home, stories from marriage. The second book is gonna be mostly just like funny, humorous dad stories, but with an even more of an exaggerated and fictional setting. So all of them have a little bit of truth in them, but the exaggeration is just piled on, kind of like Luchadors.
That's awesome.
All right. So if anybody has questions, please go ahead and ask them. Let me check the Facebook chat as well here. Okay. Alma, do you have any questions? Or Becky? Welcome. Thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you. I just want to congratulate Philip not only for his book, but the job that he is doing with migrants. It's amazing. Thank you so much for what you're doing, and I wish you the best luck.
Thank you, Alma. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. All right. So I'm really glad that you were able to join us in this event. You know, we provide this space for authors to share their story, to share a little bit about each one of their journeys, their publishing journey and all of that, because normally, just like you mentioned before, then as you're going through the process, publishing a book is very different when you're going with a publisher versus self-published. What do you want to do? And one of the things that I ask is basically, what is your goal as an author? Do you want to do that full time? And do you want to, you know, just consider that at the beginning? Because sometimes when you're writing a book, you want to share something, you want to share a story, you want to share, maybe leave a legacy for your children. That's another way of doing it. And that's, I have worked with a person who that's their main goal. You know, I want to leave this for my grandchildren, he would say. And so starting with a goal like that in mind, then it opens your options to what path do I take. And at the beginning, it's easier to just consider the options of how can I get my book out there. And so if a publishers nowadays have, unless they are more focused on helping the authors, if they are a big publisher house, they don't consider many new authors coming in. Therefore, the new authors have to present their work first, even if they have to self-publish, and then they can approach a publisher after having published a book already. And that's a good way to go first. If I mean, you don't have the contacts out there with the main publishers, it's a struggle with them. And that's why many of the authors that have been here in this session, they have mentioned, you know, some of the publishers, they don't consider our stories because sometimes they say, well, this is not what we want, or this is not the story we want to tell, or Latinos don't read. Why are you writing for Latinos? But they do read. Latinos read. Everybody reads. They just need to be encouraged to do so. And it begins at home. And just like Edward's program, his program is Education Begins in the Home. Educación comienza en el hogar. That's where the parents start reading to their children first. And you are doing a great job, Philip, because you are an author now, and you most likely 100% as a teacher read to your children. So that's wonderful. That's a great legacy you're gonna leave them, and a great book as they are growing up to read. One question I had as I was thinking is that, are you bilingual?
Yes, I grew up, crecí hablando inglés y español, y con mi familia, más en inglés. Los niños, como saben, en la escuela el inglés le gana al español entre la escuela y la televisión. But we try and make an effort with our kids to remind them of their heritage and, you know, how I'm Cuban and Ecuadorian and their mother is Puerto Rican. And so they have an awareness. It's just driving home that language is, it's something that we definitely need to grow in our home. But the book is full of bilingual phrases throughout the stories of, even when we talk with our kids, and funny things that they would say in English and in Spanish. So yes, I did grow up bilingual.
All right. So yeah, I was thinking about thinking on doing your book in Spanish, since it's mostly in English, but then also the phrases it adds a little touch. For
Right.
the bilingual community, reading your book in English and seeing these phrases in Spanish is like a little touch.
Yeah.
So that's really fun.
So you were mentioning that you've spoken with a couple publishers. So and having published your own book, the first book, are you looking to publish a second book, or are you actually looking to try to get a publisher for the second book?
I think for the second book, I would want to do a publisher, because one thing that I've learned from self-publishing the first book is you are the author, you are marketing, you are promoter, you're kind of everything except editor and cover designer. So as the author, that you do everything except those two things. And you can't really write and promote at the same time. So you have to do one or the other. So what I'm hoping is once the second book is done, to pitch it to a publisher. And I know I'll lose certain controls and certain rights that I have now. Now I can do whatever I want with it. But I hope that it would reach, the exchange would be that I would have a bigger reach with the second book, which I want it to be longer. This first one was shorter, it's kind of experimental. So the second book, I want it to be twice as long. So I figured if I'm going to put that much work, I'd want a publisher to really help promote it.
Can you tell our audience how you heard about the International Latino Book Awards and how you went through that process to submit your book?
Sure. I heard about them last year, and I had attended an author conference, and they talked about the importance of finding contests to participate in. And so I looked up some author contests, and I came across the International Latino Book Award contest, and I thought, why not? The fact that it had been hosted by Edward James Olmos in the past, I thought, wow, that's a big deal. So it was just through a search and just from learning that it's important as authors to proactively look for these contests, because you never know, you may win and then you get to meet great people like Ana and Edward and Alma and the Latino Book Award staff, and it takes you just to great new heights. So that's kind of how I find out about it.
Well, and Edward James Olmos is actually the chairman of our nonprofit.
Yes, that's what I remember seeing that.
So I wanna say that there's some questions on Facebook chat. Let me go ahead and ask some of those. Welcome everybody who's watching us on Facebook right now. And so the first question comes from Jesus. What is the total cost of self-publishing, in this case, of self-publishing your book?
Great question, Jesus. So it depends on a lot of things. The most costly thing for me was the cover, which you don't want to, you want to put, it's going to cost something. You can go the completely independent route where you design the cover and you do the editing, or, tu primo Juan does the editing. But, there's areas where you want to spend money, and that is the cover, because unlike the saying when they say don't judge a book by its cover, that is not true. People judge the book by the cover. And so the biggest money was in the cover design. And then the second big amount of money was in the editing of the book. So I found both of my editor and my cover design on Fiverr.com. Be very picky on who you pick. Like, make sure you look at their reviews. The editor I picked was más o menos, because I still found some things that could have been done differently. I'm not sure how much all that cost, but because a lot of it depends on how long your book is. The longer it is, the more the editing costs. But I would say maybe at least 100 for the cover and 100 for editing, like minimum. Because if they charge you less, that means it's less quality. So so at least 200. And then the actual formatting, I use KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing through Amazon. All that is free, but getting it to the right format, it would be good to pay someone, unless you're very good with Adobe and getting things into the right format. I would also find someone to pay. So it's hard to put a price tag on it, but I would say minimum like 300 for editing, cover, and then formatting it for KDP. And then after that, so that's just a creation of the book. After that, there's ads that you can put out on Facebook. There's ads that you can put on Google. I don't know all the details of that. Again, if you're going to self-publish, that's part of the responsibility also falls on you for the marketing part. So I guess in conclusion, spend money on 3 things: the cover, the editing, and the formatting, because that is going to represent all the work that you have put into your writing and you want it to be presented well. Great question.
And I know that there's the one aspect about having a website as well, or how I call it, a home for yourself or your book online. And that it doesn't have to be necessarily a web page. I know you have philipribera.com as your website for those interested, but the home online could be also a Facebook page or an Instagram page. That could be the home where you can send all your readers to find more information. Like, for example, you were mentioning Facebook, so that's where they can follow you on Facebook, or they can read these short stories if they are still coming out from your daily life.
Right, absolutely. Facebook, Instagram, I have those, and that's a great place to gather followers, because what you want to do is, before you publish a book, get a lot of followers on the social media, so that when your book is ready, then you already have people waiting to buy it, waiting to read it, waiting to review it. So yeah, definitely social media is a huge part, and you can create a social media account for yourself as an author even before you have the book. Just find what you're passionate about and create the social media for that, gain the followers, and then introduce the book to them.
And there was another question in the chat from Sarah Saucedo. She was asking about how can I get help writing a book, but in this case, there's different ways of getting help writing a book. And so initially, just in my case, and then I can pass it to somebody else, I would say first you have to begin creating these stories, these episodes in your story, because nothing is gonna be written down. You sit down and you write the story as the story goes. No, you write a piece here, and then a piece from another chapter, and a piece from something that you remember but you want to include. And so it's all pieces here and there that then they come together into a book. Somebody else, if Philip, do you want to comment on that?
Sure. One thing that really helped me was joining a writers group. It's a group called Word Weavers. There's chapters in different parts of the country. It's a faith-based Christian writers group. They don't all write Christian stories, but that's just the perspective that they come from. So they meet once a month, and then they bring their writing samples, and then they critique. So that group really helped me, because there was a lot of perspectives that I didn't have, and point of view, and even things that I hadn't considered that some people might not understand or not get, like even what is a luchador? The group I went to, nobody, they didn't even pronounce it right. So just understanding that in my introduction of my book, I needed to explain what is a luchador. So writing groups are a big help. So that's what I would suggest, is finding a writing group either online or in person would be a big help.
Okay, and Alma, you wanted to add to that? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry. Yes, I wanted to add to what Philip said, that also when I started, I also published myself through Amazon. And when I started from the beginning, but I mean from the very, very, very beginning. I had no clue what I was doing. So I had to go to school. I went to UCSD. There's a course really good about creative writing that helped me a lot, that get me started. After that, the conventions, the writer conventions are one of the best sources of learning, because they have a lot of different speakers. I couldn't attend to all of them because they're simultaneous, but I bought as many CDs as I could. And I listened to them over and over and over again until I almost memorized every single thing they said, from marketing, from describing your characters, from everything. You learn a lot from them. So that's another thing. And I also went to community college because I wasn't too good at the media. Well, I had to, we spend a lot. If you end up buying, hiring everybody, then you're spending a lot of money. So I wanted to do my cover, and I wanted to do my website, my video. So I went to community college. They had a very good, I think it's called programming. I think it's called Interactive Media Certificate Program, where they teach a lot of different programs where you can learn InDesign to format the book. You can learn After Effects to do the video, Premiere Pro, Photoshop, Illustrator, a lot of different programs. So that helps a lot. But it adds up. I mean, if you really want to make it well, I mean, you can end up spending a lot of money.
All right.
All excellent points from both of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. And so, Becky, if you wanna join in and mention something, you're welcome to. I don't see who's watching us live. I don't see the names. That's why I'm going back to the attendees here on Zoom. All right. And so I wanted to go back to the marketing just briefly, and about what Philip mentioned regarding paid marketing. So nowadays, marketing has changed. In the past, you could do things organically, organic post, and you're done. Now, all the media services have changed their everything, the system. So you can get organic content and views and all of that, but nowadays you have to put some money into the ads, put some money into the marketing, because otherwise your material will not be spread out across all places as it used to in the past. The algorithms have changed, and so we have to be aware of this kind of additional little expenses here and there that could come up. And that's with the viewership that you were mentioning, Philip, those readers, those followers that are already there, they are going to become your organic content in the future, because they are going to see it no matter if you put money or not. But building that amount of followers, that's where it's where the work goes into.
Right.
All right. So if nothing else, if no more questions, I don't see any more questions in the chat here. I just want to thank all the viewers. I want to thank Philip for being here, for joining this session. We're glad that you were able to join us here today. And I want to ask you, do you have any final comments for us today?
Yes, for those that are thinking, oh, I don't really have what it takes. I don't, no one wants to hear my story. That's not true, because God made each of us unique. Each of us has a unique story that is unlike anyone else's. Whether it's your life story, whether it's a story that's in your mind, a fictional story, you have a unique voice that people need to hear. and don't limit yourself by how you see yourself, because God made you unique. And so if you see yourself through his eyes as a unique person with a unique voice, then allow that story to come out. And that is really what is going to make a difference. And that's really what inspired me. That's why it's not an effort for me to write. The effort is the polishing and the promoting. So if you write from what you love, it becomes a joy. And, you know, the work will come, but the initial step is joy. And so I just want to encourage people to follow that unique design that each of us have and make that your voice for writing.
That's a great message. Well, thank you once again. And with that, we conclude this session. Edward, final thoughts from you?
No, I just want to thank Philip for being here and Alma for being in our earlier session and asking a couple of questions and making some good points in this session.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you everybody who's watching, and we will see you next time because more sessions are coming. Bye everyone.
Bye.
Now I want to thank all our partners who support this type of programming. The Latino Book and Family Festival is proud to bring in award-winning authors, author sessions, and a lot of community information. More sessions are coming up. And I also want to remind everybody to follow us on Facebook, share the videos, and go to our website because everything we are archiving on our website at lbff.us.